Today I'm working on a Honda Accord EX 2004 model with a 4-cylinder. It's got a battery light. The owner of the vehicle just put a new battery in it. I'm pretty sure it's the alternator, but I'm going to do some basic checks on the charging system and then most likely replace the alternator. The first thing I'm checking is to make sure that the belt is still on the alternator and that the pulley spins when the engine's running. Definitely spinning. Battery voltage with the engine off is 12.3. That's pretty decent. The voltage drops when the engine is running. That's a good indication that the alternator is not charging. We have battery voltage at the B terminal on the alternator. If you don't have any voltage at the B terminal of the alternator, you need to check this 100 amp fuse in the underhood fuse box. Make sure it's got power going through it. If this fuse is bad, you won't have power at the alternator. Back probe the blue and yellow wire at the alternator on the green electrical connector. It should have power with the key in the on position. Okay, this is the under dash fuse box. I'm checking for power on both sides of fuses 21 and 18. Okay, those are both good. Before removing the alternator, you need to disconnect the negative battery cable. Release the belt tension with a 14mm socket. Disconnect the wiring from the alternator. Remove the three 12mm bolts that hold the alternator on. To give a little bit more room to get the alternator out of the opening, you need to grab the power steering reservoir and lift it straight up. It also helps to disconnect the cooling fan electrical connector from the fan shroud to make some more room. Carefully lift the alternator out under the air conditioning line. Compare the old alternator and the new alternator. Make sure the electrical connectors are in the same place and all the bolt holes line up. Also verify that the pulleys are the same diameter and have the same number of ribs for the belt. Carefully set the new alternator back in place. Reinstall the bolts. Reconnect the electrical connector for the cooling fan. Put the power steering reservoir back in place and install the belt. Reconnect the wiring to the alternator. Before you reconnect the battery, check and make sure the voltage is sufficient. If it's not, you need to charge it or replace it. Reconnect the negative battery cable. Now you can start the engine. Well, the battery light's off, that's a good sign. 14.2 volts at idle is great. Let's see what it does at 2,000 RPM. Okay, now the blower motor is on high and the high beams are on. Still has 14 volts. She's good to go.